going
It
on, guys?
sounds good.
Oh yeah, it sounds perfect. Yep. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video, or should I say, I guess our very first live stream. Probably going to be a little awkward. I think that's our both our first times actually dealing with this, so just bear with us in case there's any technical difficulties. But I am joined with my good friend from Dynamite Duo Sports, Tony. How you doing?
Good. How about you, Nathan?
Doing good, doing good. So we're going to be going over our top 10 most anticipated projects, so games, shows, movies, whatever we got. We'll probably disagree a little bit, and that's okay. And anybody that joins this live stream, feel free to put your own top 10 list, tell us how wrong or right we are. That's the fun of it. So without further ado, before we actually get started, let's go over our honorable mentions. I just picked like 4 or 5. Do you have any of those by chance, Tony?
I do actually, and some of the movies that have honorable mentions are Godzilla minus zero, because I'm not the
Forgot that
biggest
was
fan of
coming out.
Godzilla. Not a big fan of Godzilla, but the minus one was really good, and so I'm excited to see what they're going to do with the second one. And then the other honorable mention I have, which are two other ones, is Digger by Tom Cruise. That movie that we
Oh,
don't know anything about really yet, but it just seems intriguing because it's Tom Cruise. And then my other honorable mention is like a smaller project called Young Washington, which is about George Washington basically and what it was like in like the uh, French and Indian War. So that should be
oh,
cool too.
sweet. Okay, yeah, I haven't heard of Young Washington. And funny thing is, I was actually thinking about putting Godzilla minus zero, I believe it's called, in actually my top 10. Only reason I didn't is because like they announced it like what a month ago, and I don't think it's even started filming. So I'm kind of questionable to if it'll actually come out in 2026. But yeah, I mean,
True.
if it does, definitely top 10. But yeah, I would say going off with mine, I gotta say Lego Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight video game. Like I grew up with the original Lego Batman. I played it on the Wii. I never played the I saw believe it was like the movie they had that was just the cutscenes if I'm mistaken. And I watched that, so I know the
Mhm.
story. And I played Lego Batman 3. I thought the story was pretty good, but I just never went back and replayed it as much as I did the
Oh
original.
yeah. The
But
the
then
old original Lego Batman game is a classic.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And I have to say, going on off of that, if I'm going to go to a movie, I would say Scream 7. Huge fan of the Scream franchise. I haven't seen 5 or 6 yet. Me and my girlfriend are going to try to get through them before the new movie comes out. But the first four, I think they're all pretty good. And I wouldn't say they're equal in quality, but they're all solid films in their own right. They each do something new with the horror genre that I like. And then I'm probably going to say Project Hail Mary. I'll include that as well. And keep in
Oh,
mind,
forgot about that.
well, keep in mind, I actually just bought the book like a week ago, so I think I've read like 4 or 5 chapters. So if I've read the whole book already, this might have been actually in my top 10. Only reason it's not is while I love the first 5 chapters, I don't have much to go on other than literally the first few chapters of the book and the trailer. And then I would say, honestly, coming in, last, not really last, but last in honorable mentions, I would say Toy
Mhm.
Story 5. That might be a controversial one, I know, but the Toy Story franchise, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt because they haven't really made a bad film yet. I mean, Toy Story 4 is their weakest, but like it's still better than half the kid movies that come out.
Right.
So, and I do like the premise of them kind of going up against technology and iPad kids. I think that's a really
Yeah.
fun, unique, and kind of timely way to take the franchise. But yeah, that kind of wraps it up for my honorable mentions. Tony, I'll let you get started. What's your number 10 for most anticipated?
All right. So number 10 um goes to a movie coming out by Steven Spielberg, Disclosure Day. It's I would rank it higher, but I just still not really sure what he's doing with this movie yet. So that's why it's at number 10, but it's definitely could possibly be one of the best movies coming out next year because this whole alien thing, but we don't know much about whether the aliens are necessarily bad or what they're doing there. But I believe John Williams is doing the music, so that is also a good thing about the movie.
You see, I was so close to putting this on my list somewhere, at least as an honorable mention. Only reason I didn't, and look, Steven Spielberg, while he's not my personal favorite director, I mean, he might objectively be the best director honestly. I mean, his portfolio, the movies he's done, the crowd pleasing, like he's done just about every drama I can think of. And I watched the trailer and I'm intrigued by it, but I don't know if I'd be as excited for it if it wasn't John Williams scoring and Steven Spielberg directing.
Oh yeah.
But I'm sure it'll probably be in my top 10 movies of the year. But for me, I actually have Spider Man Noir coming to Amazon Prime, I believe. I think they said fall of this year. This is something I honestly could have put this in top 3 or top 5 had this been a Marvel Studios like Disney Plus show. But the fact that Sony is behind it, I can't help but be a little bit on the fence about it. You know, it's just they haven't given me the benefit of the
Yeah.
doubt. But I mean, everything I've seen so far looks great. I like that they're bringing Nicolas Cage back as presumably, I guess, the same Spider-Man from Spider-Verse. We haven't, I don't think, heard anything to the contrary. So that would actually be my number 10. Tony, anything you want to add to that?
No, I mean I think that's a very valid thing to start off with Spider-Man Noir. It's we haven't gotten enough yet to see if it's going to be good or not, but it's definitely one of the very few TV shows because I'm not a big TV show guy that I'm looking forward to this year. So
Oh, okay, fair enough. I like that. All right, so what's your number 1 or number 9 pick?
number one, oh, uh, num number nine, I have tied with two movies, and that's Super Mario and Toy Story. And the only reason why I have them in the top 10 is because those are like the two biggest like family movies coming out next year. And they're both Toy Story is just a good idea, like you said, about technology taking over kids and not actually learning to go outside and play or play with actual toys. And then Super Mario Galaxy, I mean, they're about to travel more of the Mario world. So for anyone who's big Mario fans, that's gonna be really exciting. And even if you didn't like grow up knowing a lot about Mario, the movies are still gonna be great whether you know it or not. And I'm sure a lot of like kids will love to go see it, whether even if they don't know who Mario is too. So
Yeah, that's understandable. I definitely can agree with that. Before I give you my number 9, I just got to say hi to all the people in live chat. They're saying hi, so greetings everybody. And I got to point out one guy, Chase Scott, WV9U0, something like that. He put in a comment saying, "Y'all rock paper scissors for who has to do 20 push-ups." Honestly, I'd be
I
down. I don't know about this video, but maybe do a challenge or something
well,
later.
well I do like 100 push-ups when I wake up in the morning, so doing 20 is not a problem.
Yeah, he might actually could. I mean, I did push-ups a while in early college, so I don't. You might beat me though, but I just had to point that out. I thought that was funny. But yeah, my number 9. I'm gonna go with Daredevil: Born Again season 2. Well, you know, depending on how you look at it, it's technically the second half of Daredevil Born Again. I believe they had like there was intended to be one whole season, but I really enjoyed the first season of Daredevil, or season 4, I guess you could say. It's just a lot of fun. The middle did kind of drag a little bit, but I still thought the story itself was very entertaining. I never thought there was a bad episode, or they didn't really do anything crazy, and it was able to keep its gritty, more violent nature of the Netflix show, which I really like. And just from
Mhm.
the plot leaks, the set leaks, and all that, I think season 2 is shaping up to be phenomenal and maybe on par with Daredevil season 3, which would be really awesome if it could get there. But anything you want to add to that one?
No, but I will actually say my number 8 was Daredevil Born Again. So that would have been my next thing to name. And basically, everything you said, I agree with too. And the big thing about season 2 that I'm more looking forward to than the first season that they did on Disney is because in season 1, everything except the first and last episode was directed by the people who were originally working on it, and they were so bad at it that they fired them and brought back the old writers and like directors and all that to finish the Daredevil show, and they're going to be directing this entire season themselves. So I think what season 2 is what they wanted season 1 to be before they were put on the project. So that's why I think season 2 is going to be a whole lot better than season 1, and it'll definitely be put closer up with the original show on Netflix.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I totally agree. And I guess since we're going to my number 8, I promise you I got other stuff than comic books, but that's going to be a lot more in my top 5. I'm going to have to go with Supergirl as my number 8. And I know that might be a hot
Mm.
take. That might be our biggest disagreement yet. But look, I was a huge fan of Superman. I just was. As somebody that grew up with the comics, that grew up with Christopher Reeve's version of Superman. I thought what James
Yeah.
Gunn did was really fantastic. I didn't think there was as much humor personally as some people said there was, but I can see the criticisms. But for me, it just worked, and I really enjoyed Creature Commandos. Peacemaker season 2, I thought was so good, and probably would have been my favorite of his, I guess, DCU trilogy thus far, had the final episode been a bit stronger. But yeah, I mean, it's loosely based off of like widely considered to be the best Supergirl comic. The trailer looks very on point, I think, to that comic in general. So it looks like it could be at least a 50-50 kind of copying of the comic, which could be interesting. But yeah, that comes in at my number 8, and you can roast me about that. I'll wait.
Well, I don't think I'll necessarily roast you because it's not. I'll say it now. It's not in my top 10. But the one thing I am looking forward to is Lobo because Jason Momoa is literally the perfect fan cast for a kid for Lobo. So,
Agreed.
but the big thing, the only issue I had with the Supergirl trailer, which again, just to be clear, I don't know anything about the comic, so this could just be from the comic. It just felt like I was watching Guardians of the Galaxy with Supergirl in it. And that's what I mean. Again, that could be what the comic book's like, and I just have no knowledge of it. But when I saw the trailer, I was like, it just looks like Guardians of the Galaxy with Supergirl, which again might not be bad. It could still be a very good movie. It's just not something that me personally am hyped for. But I will give a little
I do
shout out real
get that.
quick to the. I will give a shout out. It's not in my top 10, but the Lantern show because that's definitely going to be something that will be probably pretty cool whenever
Oh
they
well,
release it.
funny you mentioned that because that might be coming up sooner than later. But before I get to whatever that number 7 is, I'll let you share yours real quick.
All right. So my number 7, I'm sure a lot of people don't know about this, but it's called Madden, and it's a movie about the head coach John Madden, who's for the video games and such. He was a head coach for the Raiders, won them 2 Super Bowls, I believe. And then he ended up becoming like a broadcaster, a commentator during the games, and he was just so entertaining. And the funny thing is, Nicolas Cage is playing him, and they just released a trailer for it. So if people haven't seen it, go watch it. And he just portrays him very well. And then I believe Christian Bale's is playing the owner of the Raiders back then, and he just looks like he's kind of not recognizable at first, but it's definitely going to be a very interesting movie that because I'm a big football fan and looking forward to.
Yeah, I can definitely get behind that. I don't think I've seen like a trailer or knew who was actually in the movie, but I did hear about it. It's definitely one that I'll go check out in theaters for sure. Definitely
Hmm.
excited for it. But yeah, my number 7, kind of a little bit of a mini reveal earlier, but lanterns. Anybody that knows me knows I have waited so long for Green Lantern to be given justice. And honestly, with the way the DCU's heading, I believe they showed us a little snippet, like a little sizzle reel or whatever, a month or so ago with some
Yeah.
brief clips from the show. And I mean, honestly, it looks pretty cool. I think the HBO brand name is prestige enough to where you can really tell they're putting all of their money and their budget behind this. I like the idea that it's kind of smaller scale, but I am also curious about James Gunn saying that it's going to blend that smaller kind of rural feel with the more cosmic. So it looks like we could be getting some really cool cameos. I like that we're getting both Hal Jordan and John Stewart as well. So
Oh
that
yeah,
comes in at number 7.
yeah. It's
Oh, and I'll add
definitely
to that too.
yeah, it's definitely
Oh, you're
a
good.
show that I am looking forward to that I think could either be really good or could be very boring. And the only reason why I say boring is just because a lot of people nowadays, when they try to make any superhero shows or like Star Wars shows, any of that big superhero fan base like that, they always end up making a bunch of like episodes that are just so unnecessary and it kind of drags it. So I'm excited to see what happens with that. So.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And last thing I'll add to that, I feel like this could be the first project where, and I know James Gunn's not the director, but to kind of see a more, and this year in general, really, to kind of see more of a James Gunn directed DCU than a James Gunn directed DCU. Like, if that makes
Oh
sense.
yeah.
Like, I want to see his vision, but not necessarily his style on all the projects. So
Oh
that's
yeah,
why, and
totally.
I'll go and say it. Yeah, Clayface didn't make this list, but that's one that I'm definitely looking forward to just to kind of see a more, darker take on the character. But
Oh yeah.
yeah, going on to number 6, moving right along here. What's your number 6 pick?
So my number 6 is a trailer I just watched, and I am so excited for it. Is The Death of Robin Hood with Hugh Jackman. I saw that trailer and it looks like it's going to be sort of like a horror movie too at the same time because it's A24 and they normally do that. But it just looks really cool and it looks like Robin Hood with a twist of Logan to it. And I just don't know. I saw the trailer, it just looks really sick and like just a really cool action packed movie.
Honestly, solid. Yeah, you should. I think you sent me that trailer, and like I'd already made this list, and I was like, crap. I was like, I don't have the time to put it on there. Yeah. So I was thinking about honestly putting that like definitely like top five or top four. I'm going to get into the more artsy films here in a second. We're almost at the end of this, but my number six is going to be Spider-Man: Brand New Day. I'm really
Okay.
excited for this. I think the plot leaks seem amazing. I'm very excited to get a street level Spider-Man story. Only way that I think they're going to really mess this up is if they give Spider-Man yet another mentor rather than just letting him be on his own. But so far, everything sounds really good. If even half the leaks are true, it sounds like it's going to be pretty solid. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that comes in at number six. Anything you want to add to that one?
I think I agree with you with the fact that it. I don't think this Spider-Man movie is going to have him have a mentor because the two characters that are confirmed in it is Hulk and Punisher, and I don't see Bruce Banner Hulk being a mentor necessarily in this one, and I definitely don't see Punisher as a mentor, more as like partner. I'm definitely curious what they're going to do with Punisher in a PG-13 movie because his whole purpose is being that bloody shoot your brains out character and I know that in the comic books he has worked with Spider-Man before, so I'm gonna. It's interesting how they're going to portray him. I will say I do think that the director will do a good job with trying to portray Punisher as this bloody guy with keeping it PG-13.
Yeah, I think that will be a really interesting balance. But I mean, I think people forget they can get away with a lot these days in PG-13. I mean, even looking
Yeah.
back to like Lord of the Rings, The Dark Knight, even PG-rated Indiana Jones movies, there's definitely
Hmm.
a lot that they can get away with. So I'm not really worried about that. I think they're going to find the right balance, especially with Destin Daniel Cretton directing, which is another reason it's this high up on the list. Because if nothing else, those action scenes are going to be absolutely fire, and I can't wait for it. But yeah, moving on to number five. What's your number five pick, my friend?
So my number five movie is the Michael movie about Michael Jackson. It just I saw the trailer. The trailer itself is one of the best trailers I've ever seen because the way they're able to transition all the different Michael Jackson songs and it fitted together so well, it just got you so excited for the movie. And I believe it's his nephew, if I remember correctly, that's playing Michael Jackson. And it just looks really cool. It reminds me a lot of like the Elvis movie where it's going to show you what his actual life was like, what he went through with the musical industry, trying to become independent and becoming one of the richest uh, musicians in the world. And I don't remember if he bought Sony, if he almost bought Sony, but then he died. Um, so it's gonna be really cool. I'm very excited to see how what they're gonna show in the movie about Michael Jackson, but it's definitely a top five movie for me for anticipation.
Honestly, valid. Yeah, I thought that trailer. I actually didn't see it online, but I saw it in the theater. I think it played in front of like Wicked or something. And yeah, I mean, it looks great. I obviously, like most people, love Michael Jackson as an
Who
artist.
doesn't?
So yeah, oh, exactly. Like, just a define one of the, greatest
Better
figures
than
on
Taylor
or celebrity
Swift.
figures. Oh yeah, I will say that. Before I give you my number five, I'll go ahead and shout out. We got Eastern Anderson watching from White River, Arizona. That's cool. We're growing in popularity.
Oh
And then
yeah.
Batman for real, 1, 2, 3. I'm Batman. Well, that's cool. I think I know your identity, but I'm not going to say it, so I'll keep it hush hush. But yeah, coming in and
Who's your
number
favorite?
five for me.
They whoever that is, they should comment their favorite live action Batman.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, dude. Like, give us your favorite Batman and favorite Batman movie,
If
actor, comic,
if
whatever.
if you say the Batman though, there's going to be a long argument here.
Oh yeah, he hates the Batman. He doesn't get cinema.
Well, I don't hate. It was a movie that I was so excited for, but then I watched it. It would just kind of killed it. But I'm excited for this Batman Part Two with Sebastian. They just announced that Sebastian Stan's probably gonna be in it. A lot of people think it's Two Face. Scarlett Johansson's gonna be in it. It's I'm excited for the next one. I was just very upset when I had such high expectations for it, but if you like it,
Yeah, and I get
go
that.
for it.
That was definitely me with One Battle
Christian
After
Bale.
Another.
Christian
Super high
Bale.
expectations, and then I did like it more on second viewing, but that's a different. If you saw my top 10 best movies of 2025, you'll know where I stand on that. But
Mhm.
yeah, going into my number five, I'm going to go with Dune Messiah or Dune Part 3, whatever they're
Oh
deciding to
yeah.
call it. The first two Dunes, which I guess are like, one story split into two parts, basically. They're they split the original book in half. But there's a case to be made that they're, if not top three, definitely top five best films to come out this decade. Like,
Oh yeah.
they are phenomenal. I think they really solidified Denis Villeneuve as a great director to a legendary director that I think will 10, 20 years from now sit on that same pedestal as maybe Spielberg, Cameron, Nolan. Like, I think he will be one of the all-time greats. And
Yep.
yeah, I mean, if you haven't read the Dune book or Dune Messiah book, definitely read it. I don't know. I don't want to give away any spoilers, so I got to tread carefully here.
Oh, yeah.
But where the Dune Part 2 ends and where the Dune Messiah book picks up, if you've seen the movie and read the book for the original book, that is, you'll know it doesn't end exactly the way the movie does. So I'm curious to see how they're going to pick that up because it's kind of hard to tell that
Yeah.
same story with the way Dune Part 2 ended. But either way, I'm deliriously excited for this. Could
Yeah.
be movie of the year for me. But yeah, that anything you want to add to that one?
No, but I will add a little though. It's just I've read the books too. The funny thing is, the author's name Franklin something, I think. I can't remember his name. But he made like 5 books, I believe, and then his son ended up making like 17 more. And
Oh yeah.
I didn't read any of his son's books. All I do know how they end though. The very like book 23 is the official ending, and it's so depressing. I didn't read those books. I only read the original ones that his father wrote, and they're really good stories. I wish they could make all of them from all of those first 6 books, but I guess if they have to end it with this one, I'm curious to see how they do it. So
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I think I've only read. I believe it was six. I think he ended with Chapter House Dune, and I kind of remember like Children of Dune. You could kind of make a movie with, or at least a series. I don't know how you're going to do God Emperor of Dune onward because they're less traditional stories and kind of more
Yeah.
almost philosophical poetry, if that makes sense.
yeah,
Um,
I see what you mean.
Yeah. Also, Batman for real. I feel like we'll follow up with him. He said his favorite Batman is Christian Bale, and his favorite, I guess, assuming favorite Batman movie is The Dark Knight. So yeah, right on, man. Tell you a fun
Yes.
fact: Dark Knight is probably my favorite film of all time, not just comic book, but ever. Like, it was
Mhm.
definitely a formative movie to me growing up. I saw it when I was like 12 or 13, and just one of those things that solidified my love for film. So yeah, glad to hear that, man. But moving on, what's going to be your number four pick here?
So my number 4 movie is something you've already mentioned, and it is Spider-Man: Brand New Day. I just
Okay.
the big thing for me with all the Spider-Man movies is Tom Holland has never had his own solo movie. Like you said, he's always had a mentor. First it was Iron Man, then he had like sort of Nick Fury, and then you had Doctor Strange in the other one. So this one's exciting because I feel like there's no bigger Marvel character that is going to be his mentor in this one, and it's going to give a big test to can Tom Holland like carry his own movie, sort of, because there is no mentor in this one. And so I'm very excited to see what they do with that because I've always ranked Tom Holland like out of all the Spider-Mans is the bottom, only because I said he's never been given the opportunity to prove himself to be able to like, be able to have his own movie as the main
Mhm.
character and everyone else is like low tier characters. So I'm excited to see what they do with that. And I do very strongly believe this is my own like conspiracy theory of Spider-Man. It's that when he had a concussion injury on set for Spider-Man Brand New Day, I have a very weird feeling that he wasn't actually injured and he was going to film some scenes for Doomsday. That's a little rumor I have. So I don't know
That's not
because
bad. I
it's
haven't heard that anywhere from you. So like that's actually that's a fair point because it was like I feel like he
just like three
wasn't
weeks,
gone
I
from
think.
filming. Yeah, I didn't think he was gone from filming as long as Concussion Protocol, like the average is. And I know celebrities and all that, they get like the top tier doctors, but I don't know how long Concussion Protocol is, but I thought it was longer than like 3, 4 weeks. So, because people are
Yeah.
saying that they would shut down production, but yeah, definitely solid. Definitely, if I see if I get a official trailer or whatever, that could definitely move up the list for me. But I'm actually going to switch things up for my number four, and I'm going to go Wolverine for the PlayStation 5. I have adored all of these Insomniac Marvel games. Well, I guess they've only been Spider-Man games, but I remember being so stoked for the original Spider-Man game, loving it. Though I felt like the mini games, Mary Jane side missions, kind of brought it down a bit. Miles Morales is
Yeah.
fun. It's kind of glorified DLC, but it's a lot of fun. And then Spider-Man 2 came out, and it was the first game that I got on a PS5, and so far the only PS5 game I've had, other than debatably Cyberpunk maybe, where I was just blown away from the graphics and I was like, this is amazing graphically, storytelling. Yes, there's still a few of those obnoxious mini games or Mary Jane missions, but I feel like they did it in a way to where it was less annoying and honestly felt kind of shorter than in the original game. So to me, just I don't know if you saw the leak or not, Antonios, from about a year or two ago, where some leaker, and I'm not condoning leaking in the slightest, but what we saw on YouTube that was none of our business, the early footage or whatever, and Wolverine fighting, I was like, this looks brilliant. And it looks like it's
Oh
going to
yeah.
take place not in America. So, and apparently there's supposed to be other X-Men characters involved. So, yeah, I'm super stoked for this. And that's why it comes in at number four. Any,
Yeah. For
any
me,
comments?
yeah, I'm not the biggest video gamer, but games like Arkham Knight, Spider-Man, this Wolverine game, I've always wanted to get into them, but I just never find the time to like focus on the story and continue it. Plus, I suck at video games unless it's racing. So, but
No, there you
but
go.
I have a brother who likes playing this game, so I normally just watch him do it just so I know what's going on. But yeah, it looks just really cool, and I hope I can get into it. But I guess we'll just have. In all honesty, the only game I'm looking forward to next year is the Lego Batman game. I know it sounds childish, but I don't care. I want to play it so bad.
Hey, anybody under the age of 30 and maybe even older than 30 has great memories with those Lego games. And I feel like,
Oh
kind
yeah,
of on a side note about that, I feel like we haven't gotten a Lego game in like probably at least 5 or 6 years. What was the last
it's been
one?
a.
Skywalker
I
Saga?
It was the Skywalker Saga where all they basically did was just add the old, I mean, the new movies, the last three into it, I think. And, it's fine. I think it's good, but we haven't had a an actual new Lego game since, like, I think it was the DC Supervillains with the PS4, which was, I never, like, finished playing that game because it wasn't as exciting for me. But this new Lego Batman game though is doing what I've been wanting for years as a little kid that I wanted was to bring all the Batman movies and put them into one video game. And that's what they're doing. They're adding the Christian Bale movies, they're adding Robert Pattinson Batman, they're adding all the 90s and all that. So it's what I've been wanting, and I don't care that I'm a full grown adult now. Now that it's out, I'm playing it. So
No, yeah, I might actually, and this is probably the first time I've ever bought a game at full price. And there's going to be a few of these games I might break down for, and you'll see in a second the one of these top three picks here. But yeah, Lego Batman might just be one of those. So I'm very excited. Batman for real shouted out and said, "Batman Arkham Knight has exceptional graphics." You're not wrong, man.
oh
It
yeah.
does. Yeah, hot take. I kind of going on a side note, and we'll get back to the top three list. But I just kind of want to,
Mhm.
acknowledge you because I know you're one of the few people watching this live stream. So yeah, I feel like I love the first three Lego or not Lego Batman. Love the first three Arkham Batman games. Arkham Knight, I think there's half of that game that's a lot of fun and just as good as the others. Like story wise, it might have the best story of the four. However, the over reliance on the Batmobile, I gotta say, really got old. And it was fun for a while, but I will say by the end, it kind of got tiring. So that's my hot take. Again, I understand I'm in the minority in that, but I don't know if you have an opinion on Arkham Knight, Antonios, but that's kind of
So
my hot take.
Is Arkham Knight that one game where you have to drive the Batmobile through Riddler's
Hmm.
riddles? And that thing was a pain
Yeah.
in the butt. And
Yes.
it's
Thank you.
it, I I forget if I ever finished. I did finish it, but it took me like 3 weeks to actually, and with trying multiple times every day to do it, and I just couldn't get it done. One of my brothers was able to finish it in like 10 minutes, and I sat there. I was like, "How'd you do that?"
Wow. That skill. He
So
might be a
yeah,
game. He might be live streaming video games in 10 years. That's awesome.
he
Right.
he used to love playing games like Battlefront, Ultimate Alliance, things like that when we had our old PS2. I don't know if this is
Mhm.
a hot take, but PS2 was the best console because it had the coolest games, and it was just I just feel like they've never made video games like they did for the PS2. Like they had Incredibles games, which, believe it or not, were really good. That was when Ultimate Alliance was at its peak. That's when Battlefront was at its peak. So yeah, I think PS2 had some of the best games to have out there. Not to mention, shout out to the Cars game.
Oh yeah. See, that's a valid point. I would say best console would definitely be like tied for me between the Wii and PS2. But yeah, definitely solid. Arkham City is the best. Heck yeah, Batman for real. You're right about that. So yeah, moving into our top three. Antonio's what you got?
So number three is Dune Messiah. I when the first Dune movie came out, I thought it was okay. And then I watched it a second time. I was like, this is actually really good. And that's when I started reading. This is like right during this was still when there was a lot of COVID shutdowns, a lot of places where they still had you had to wear face masks, you had to do social distancing still, and all that stuff. And so during that time, I read a lot of books, and that's when I read those Dune books, and I just started falling in love with the actual like universe. And so when Dune Part Two came out, fun fact, that was actually my first IMAX movie, and I was blown away. It was a great movie to see in IMAX for the first time. And I'm just really excited for Dune Messiah because I've read the books. I'm curious to see how they're going to end it with this one. And the only criteria I have of the Dune movies, I know a lot of people would super disagree, is as good as Timothy Chalamet is at acting, I am not intimidated by him because, no offense, he's scrawny.
Well,
So
fair
I
point,
think
but
it look for me. I think Timothy Chalamet is the right person for that role. He just needs to buff up. Like he needs to work out and get like built for the character. He needs to be like he doesn't. He shouldn't look so frail. You know, like his speeches sound so good and such, but then you actually look at his like his figure and you're like, I could kick his butt. No offense,
well, I
but
will say I haven't seen Marty Supreme, but in that movie he's not jacked, but he's definitely a lot more kind of fit and tone. Well, I mean, not to say he wasn't fit and Doom, but I hope you get what I'm saying. Like, not
yeah,
hating on him, but like he's got a little more muscle on him. But yeah, I
yeah.
definitely get that though. For me, my number three is going to be my favorite movie director of all time, Christopher Nolan, The Odyssey.
That's
I
number
read this
three.
book. It is, yeah, and I'll explain. You'll see
Okay.
with my top two why it's not actually higher.
Okay.
I'll give an explanation for that, but that's not to say I'm not deliriously excited for this movie. I mean, Oppenheimer. When I said the first two Dunes are like top five films of the decade, Oppenheimer is right up there in that conversation with them. Loved it,
Totally.
obviously. I know I said earlier in this live stream, Dark Knight is my favorite movie of all time. There's a case to be made. The entire Dark Knight trilogy is my favorite trilogy of all time. Love Inception. I mean, to me, Nolan just hasn't made a bad movie. I think I've seen all but like two of his films. I think
Yeah.
haven't seen The
His
Prestige, but yeah, I mean, it's
ah.
just not.
I gotta have you come over and watch that.
Oh yeah.
That is, but besides from like the Batman movies, that is his best movie in my opinion. Prestige was just like it's just so I can't say anything without spoiling anything. 'Cause that's the kind of movie where you can't tell someone about it. You just have to tell them it's really good and they have to watch it. Because if you say anything about it, it could like spoil it. But it is just such a great movie. And the weakest movie Christopher Nolan made, in my opinion, was Tenet. But even Tenet was a really good movie. And it still confuses me. So I still need to watch it to probably understand it better. But yeah, like ever since he made Memento, that's the only Christopher Nolan movie I don't think I have seen. That was like the kickstart to his career. And I know a lot of people really like that one. So
Yeah, that's understandable. Yeah. And, I think for me too, not only is it Christopher Nolan, but he's tackling what might just become the next Gladiator or the next Lord of the Rings. I mean,
Oh
it's
yeah.
truly that good. And if you've ever read The Odyssey, it's my girlfriend gave me the book because I was excited to see this movie and I kind of wanted to know the lore. And I read the book. The characters' names can be a bit confusing, and the story is told in a kind of strange fashion. But I understood the basic premise. I could tell you what happens, the certain characters and
Yes,
storylines,
it's
and it's
uh, the big thing about Greek mythology books. I read a lot of Greek mythology in like middle school, early high school. Is just the pacing of Greek books because of the old Greek language. It's almost like they want like in Odyssey. They kind of put a bunch of mini stories, kind of all rambled together as he's going through like this adventure, and it's a lot of Greek stories. One thing I've learned is as cool as their stories are, the pacing in those stories are just awful. I don't know if you agree with that or not, but I read so many Greek mythology
I'd
stories,
argue.
and it's super whack, super out of pace. But I don't think Christopher Nolan's going to do that. I think Christopher Nolan will find a good pace with the movie. But the Odyssey is just going to be
Oh,
so
I
good.
think so.
So
Oh, it is. Did you see by chance the 6-minute prologue they showed in front of Avatar? It was in IMAX,
So
but
funny enough, I still haven't seen an Avatar movie. I went to go watch all the I went to go watch all the Doomsday trailers, and I left after. The only reason why is because the Avatar movie is like with trailers, it's like over 3.5 hours long. So I'm just trying to find the time to see it. But um, no, I haven't seen the 6-minute prologue for the Odyssey. And honestly, I kind of don't. I saw that 2-minute trailer they released, and that's all I want to see because I saw that and I'm like, okay, yes, this is going to be great. I don't really want to watch anything else because I want to keep it. I don't want to know a lot about the movie. I want to go see it not having a lot of knowledge of what he's going to do in it. So,
honestly, fair. I get that. Batman, I'm going to get to your question here at the end. We only got two left, and then I'll take your question and anybody else's at the end. We'll save like 5 or 10 minutes for that. So I'll get back to you, my friend. But yeah, we're gonna wrap this up here for number two. What do you have for that?
so my number two is Avengers Doomsday. It's just, it's a movie that's either going to be absolutely peak or it's going to be a cameo garbage movie. And after watching the trailers of the X-Men and Thor with his speech, his prayer he's given to like Odin, and then Captain America returning, and it's the Russo brothers. And mind you, the movies Russo brothers have made is The Winter Soldier, Civil War, Infinity War, and Endgame, and those are arguably top five MCU movies. And the Russo brothers were not going to make this movie unless they had the right story. They said they found the right story. That's why they're coming back. So I am actually pretty confident after these trailers with the directors that it is actually going to be really good. Might end up being one of the best MCU movies. And I have very high standards for this movie though. So if it's not really good, it will break my heart basically. But I am very excited for Doomsday. I think it's going to be really good. And the moment I saw Cyclops take off his glasses, do the laser with his X-Men
Dude,
97
yes.
suit, when I saw that, I was like, "Oh, we're in for a treat. We are in for a
And
treat."
and did you
So,
notice the giant Sentinel boots behind him?
yep, yep.
Yeah, it's gonna be so good. And I know I'm gonna comment on yours because number two for me is also Avengers Doomsday for literally the exact same reasons. I mean, the Russo brothers, kind of like what you said, they haven't let us down yet. I think the trailers have looked great. It looks like we're getting the Thor we've really been wanting since Infinity War, if not earlier. And I love that they're so simple and they don't show anything, but they get you so built up with anticipation.
And
And by far, I
yeah,
thought
and,
the
and
X Men trailer was the best
oh
of the
yeah,
bunch.
and that's what
Mhm.
teaser trailers are for. Me personally, I don't want to watch a trailer where it shows the plot because I want the plot to be a surprise. Because a lot of people nowadays in their trailers, you watch a trailer and you already know what's happening in the movie, and then you kind of don't care for it anymore. Or if it's upsetting. So these teasers are just like spot on. At first, when I heard they're doing one, two, three, four trailers, I was like, I understand you're trying to make Avatar make money. I'm like, but I don't like this. But now that I've seen the trailers, I love it. This whole anticipation of first you got Captain come back. Cool, exciting. Then you have Thor come back being serious, praying to Odin, getting ready to go to battle to save like his daughter. And I'm like, oh, this gets even better. And then you saw the X-Men trailer and you're like, oh, now this is really good. So I am looking forward to Doomsday so much. And I have a theory that Doomsday, I don't know if I talked to you about this yet or not, but me and my brothers talked about it, about how Doctor Doom might be coming for the children. So Steve's child, Thor's child, and Franklin Richards. So that might be a part of the plot of Doomsday.
Yeah, I've heard. I don't think you told me, but I think I've heard like other people theorize about that, and yeah, that would
Yeah.
be absolutely incredible. I think what really excites me that I'll touch on too is that this is a genuine direct sequel to Endgame. The Russo brothers have confirmed it. So obviously,
Yep.
Love and Thunder's canon. Obviously, Guardians 3, the Marvels, all of these other films are still canon. But in terms of this being a true sequel, like Avengers 5, so it's a true sequel to Avengers 4, and the thing that
Right.
has me excited is I've had for the longest time the theory that Steve Rogers was going to kind of be the MacGuffin of the film, so to speak. That when he went
Right.
back with Peggy Carter, he's kind of what started this whole, time, TVA, all of this stuff. And so it could
Yep.
just be the X-Men, Loki, and Doctor Doom. They're all just in the Avengers racing to Steve Rogers. And I love that idea, honestly. So yeah,
Oh
beyond
yeah.
excited. It is definitely my most anticipated film of the year, and I know some people are going to laugh at me about that, but look, I'm a huge Marvel guy, have been my whole life, and not apologizing for it. But yeah, I'm curious to know now what your number one most anticipated film of the year is going to be.
Well, I think you kind of guessed it when you mentioned Odyssey at 3. Odyssey is number one for me because whenever Christopher Nolan says, I'm making a movie, I'm like, I'm in. But then I heard he was doing the Odyssey, and I'm like, oh my gosh. Because he doesn't like using CGI, he's going to make this as cinematic masterpiece as possible. Because not only does Christopher Nolan movies look cinematically amazing, the stories are also good because that's what's lacking in most movies nowadays is it's all about the effects and what you see on screen versus the plot, the characters, acting skills, all of that's kind of been thrown into the trash with most movies nowadays. And that's why I'm a big old movie lover. I loved old movies like Casablanca, 12 Angry Men, Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. All these movies back then where before there was CGI and visual effects, you had to focus on great acting, great stories, soundtracks that dived you into the movie, and it made you have to use your brain, your mind more to understand the masterpiece behind it all. So I think Christopher Nolan though does that, but then he also takes modern technology and uses that as well to make something as big and great as his movies. And I think the Odyssey could possibly be, like you said, the next Gladiator, next Lord of the Rings. And if it is one of those next movies, it's going to be one of the greatest movies of all time. And again, I do have high hopes for the movie, but if there's any director I trust, it's Christopher Nolan. So that's why it's number one, because I think it's going to be one of the greatest movies in the past 15 years.
Oh, I wholeheartedly agree. Yeah, I expect nothing less than brilliance from Christopher Nolan. And yeah, I mean, I'm so excited to see him really just emphasize story, but also most likely give us amazing visuals. I mean, I'm sure this will probably be his most CGI heavy movie to date just because it has to be, but I think he's not going to
Well,
skimp on practical
that's the
effects when
thing,
he
though.
can.
That's the thing, though, is that he's using very minimum CGI. Like, for example, when they're out in the boats on the storm, he literally went out to the ocean for a couple weeks and waited for the storms to film certain scenes, which I think is really cool. I'm pretty sure the Trojan horse isn't CGI either, and um the troll or whatever it is in there, I think they used the animatronic for it. They just use CGI, for the face and all that. So he's trying to use as very minimal CGI as possible, and I'm very excited for that. So
Oh, wholeheartedly agree. Batman, give us like just literally another minute or two. I mean, we're gonna get to those questions here in a second, but yeah, I'm gonna share my number one pick. This is the thing that I am most excited for in 2026. It's gonna be controversial with Antonio's. I already know it. And it's gonna be basic. Y'all probably see this coming a mile away, but Grand Theft Auto 6 has to come in at number one, unless it gets delayed. Which I mean, but like
you know,
here's
it. I'll just say this: I've never played Grand Theft Auto. I've never cared. And so everyone that's been complaining about it and such, and they're like posting it, or they send me messages like, "Oh, it's been delayed longer." I'm like, "You're talking to the wrong person. I don't give 2 cents about Grand Theft Auto. I just don't care about it. I do understand they put so much money into it, and I understand for the people who are fans of it that that it better be really good, or people are gonna get really upset. And it's something that I have really no comment about because I just don't care for it. If it must be really really good if people have this high of expectations for it though. So
Yeah, I mean, I will say, like, in terms of, I think, the most winning studios or gaming companies in the whole gaming industry, I'd say it's like a tie between Rockstar and Nintendo in terms of just who consistently comes out with the most bangers, who's consistently pushing the, just edge of what video games can do. But I mean, Rockstar, like, I mean, just from their humble beginnings to basically RDR2, which is probably my favorite single player campaign of all time, and Grand Theft Auto 5, there's a reason people are still playing that game 12, 13 years later because there's so much to do. There's stuff that I'm still finding out in that game and things to explore that I didn't notice before. And, it's just
Mhm.
it's such a fun environment, and hearing GTA 6 is taking it back to Vice City, which is one of the earlier games. It took place in like the 80s Miami. I think it came out on like the PlayStation 2 or something like that. And it's just bringing it back to that setting I've wanted for so long. Campaign looks great. The open world is supposedly like 5 times the size of GTA 5. So, all that to say, that's why that comes in at number one. And Batman for real in the comments going GTA 6 is a myth. I hope not, man. At this point, I would believe it, but hopefully not. But I will agree. I'll agree with you on this one, Batman. RDR2 is definitely a better game in like across the board than GTA 5. I go back and play GTA 5 more just to relax and chill out. Like it's more personally, I go back and play GTA more just for the fun aspects, the car driving, the cop shootouts, all of that. But in terms of an actual game, yeah, RDR2 is unmatched. So, anything to add on that, Tony, before we take some questions?
I have no idea what RDR2 is. So
Red Dead Redemption 2. You'd actually like that game.
oh oh is that is that the game? Is that the game where you can like
You haven't
hit
played
that
that?
lane
Highly
dragger
recommend.
to feed the alligators or feed her to the alligators or something, right?
I
Yeah,
think so. Yeah, it's a crazy.
I've
It's
seen
like
clips.
it's GTA in the Wild West.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
sounds cool.
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah, definitely give it a gander. But yeah, that's pretty much all for our top 10 list here. We'll take a few questions. I think they're all from Batman, so it's just like 3 or 4, and then we'll wrap it up here. What are your thoughts on Star Wars Revenge of the Sith? It's a great movie. I mean, it's honestly probably top 3 Star Wars film in my opinion. I'd still personally say episodes 4 and 5 are the best, but Revenge of the Sith, I have no problem with people putting it as their number one. It is aged like fine wine and just gets better and better each time I watch it, like a Shakespearean tragedy. So, yeah, what you got to say on that, Antonios?
okay, so I'll say this: the prequel movies were my childhood. I loved watching them. The action scenes are so great. The new movies are so terrible with their action scenes. So the big thing about Revenge of the Sith is it has the coolest battle scenes. Like Obi-Wan, Anakin, Yoda, Darth Sidious. And so as a child, that was my number one Star Wars movie. And now that I'm older and I watch it, the dialogue in that movie is atrocious. Like the actual dialogues with the characters, the actual story is but the big point about the prequels people have to understand is that the stories are not good, and if you just take the battle scenes, they're the best in the entire Star Wars, like all the battle scenes. I am a huge Phantom Menace lover. A lot of people have that ranked really low. I don't know why, because Qui-Gon Jinn is one of the best Jedi's, and the characters in the first one were really good, like Jar Jar Binks and all that. And the battle scene with Darth Maul and Obi-Wan was the first ever really fast like lightsaber fight scene. So I can't imagine what that was like as Star Wars fans going to a theater and watching Obi-Wan fight Darth Maul in that one scene. And the funny thing is they actually had to slow down that fight. So what you're watching on screen is like 0.75 speed of the actual fight between him and Darth Maul versus the actual speed. And the thing about Revenge of the Sith is the older I've gotten, the lower I actually rank it. I would rank 4, 5, 6, and even Phantom Menace before Revenge of the Sith. Actually, I know that is a
Interesting.
huge hot take for most people, but that is a huge. And I'll even pick. I'll even take Rogue One technically over 2. And I know that's a really crazy pick because realistically, the only good thing about Revenge of the Sith is the battle, yeah, are the fight scenes. And again, if I'm talking about what is a Star Wars movie, I will sit down and watch for fun. 1000% Revenge of the Sith because the battle scenes are really cool. But if I'm going like taking story into account and all that, it's not. It's in like the middle of all the Star Wars movies.
Yeah, I mean, I see where you're coming from. I mean, definitely it's one of those movies to where the writing is definitely kind of its biggest enemy. Now, without the bad writing, we wouldn't have gotten some amazing memes and still get amazing memes from this. So I kind of appreciate it in a weird way. Like, it's definitely, I'd rather take cheesy writing over like straight up just bad writing, like what we got in Rise of Skywalker. Somehow Palpatine returned. So, but I do get, I definitely get what you're saying.
Yeah, and again,
You
and
are
and and,
definitely
and
like
again, and again, the last thing I'll leave with is just that The Revenge of the Sith was my favorite Star Wars movie growing up. Like it was. So for people who would think that I just hated it, it's like, no, it was my favorite Star Wars movie growing up. When I was younger, my dad would have us go outside. We'd have to do like we'd have to go on runs, we'd have to do some workouts, and then my dad would be like, the final competition would be like whoever catches the most football passes gets to pick the movie. I was very competitive, so I would win all the time. And every time I won, I would always pick Revenge of the Sith as my movie I got to watch. So that's how much I loved it growing up. It's just when you get older, and in high school, you start doing things like Shakespeare, all these old, like plays, and all these really old classic books. You start to recognize how bad a lot of dialogue and plots are in movies, unfortunately. But they're still super enjoyable, though.
Oh yeah, and at the end of the day, that's all that matters. I'm certainly can be the critic guy, and I enjoy great cinema and all, but I can also, enjoy a dumb fun movie to a certain degree.
Right.
But yeah, let me see. What was your next question? Let's see. What is your
Favorite
favorite
genre?
genre of movie? Hmm.
That's
See, I have
tough.
so many. If I did a top 10 list of my favorite films, probably 7 out of the 10 would be from different genres at least. But if you're going to make me
Yeah.
pick one, I would say it might be a tie between action thriller. Like, well, I guess you will just say thriller. So thriller slash like that dystopian kind of like The Running Man, Squid Game. I don't know what you'd call that genre specifically, but that like Play to Survive. I've just ever since Squid Game, and then you've got The Running Man, and I think there was something else recently that was kind of like that too. It wasn't The Hunger Games, but it was something else, I believe. Oh, Long Walk, Long Walk. That's another one.
Yeah.
Those kind of movies, whatever genre that is, y'all can let me know in the comments down below. But I'd say that's definitely a top one for me.
Yeah, for me, I think if I had to pick one genre, I don't even know if this really counts, but I'd probably pick something like historical or movies that have something to do with historical facts. Like for example, The Last Samurai, Tom Cruise, Gladiator, Patriot, When We Were Soldiers, anything that involves history, because those are some of the greatest movies ever made. Another thing too is fantasy. I love fantasy, but only because of like Lord of the Rings, right? Any other fantasy stuff I wouldn't necessarily put in there, but I have to put fantasy in as one of them just because of Lord of the Rings. So
Yeah, totally understandable. I get that. Lord of the Rings, obviously Batman. If you haven't seen Lord of the Rings, three of the you could argue,
if you
they're the
haven't
three
seen
of the
Lord of the
objectively
Rings,
greatest films
what are you
ever. Yeah,
doing?
I mean, yeah. I'm not
What are you
saying,
doing?
it's not my personal favorite film, but they might objectively be the
You know,
three greatest movies of all time.
that's why I tell people all the time. It's like, look, it's like Tom Brady in the NFL. He is the greatest quarterback or greatest football player in NFL history. But that doesn't mean he's your favorite, but you can't deny the fact that he's the best. That's why I tell people about Lord of the Rings, because I'm a big Lord of the Rings fan. So
Oh yeah, and kind of moving on, I guess. Final question, and this will definitely be the final question. We'll end it after here, guys. Of course, it's Batman asking, who is better, me or Spider Man? I'm a Batman guy, if you couldn't tell by my favorite film of all time. He's made a. I love Spider Man. Love Spider Man. Okay, glad to see you in Lord of the Rings, buddy. Love it. But yeah, Batman for me all the way. I love Spider Man. I actually grew up with the original 24 that were hand me down from my parents. and that was kind of my first introduction to that character. So Spider-Man's far and away my favorite Marvel character, and Batman's my favorite DC character. But when push comes to shove, just some
Prep
of the
time.
greatest comics, yeah, in my opinion, some of the greatest movies and greatest games, all of this are Batman and the Rogues Gallery. I mean, as great as Spider-Man's is, you can't beat the Joker, Catwoman, uh, Two Face, my underrated favorite, Mister Freeze. I know that's a hot take, but I love Mister Freeze. So,
Oh, I
what
love him
say
too.
you on that?
It's great.
Hmm.
I am gonna have to say Batman because of prep time. But that's the big argument with Batman. It's like if he has no prep time, who wins? And honestly, it still might be Batman just because of experience. Because when you fight someone like Spider Man, like when you watch Captain America Civil War, when Cap fights Spider Man, you just see Cap with the experience and such. That's why he beat kind of Spider Man, in my opinion. So I think just because of Batman with his fighting skills and his experience, he would technically win the fight. But yeah, I just think Batman with prep time beats anybody. Period. So, and people who deny that, it's like, sorry, that's just the facts. He literally beat Darkseid in the comic books. So, if he could beat Darkseid, he can beat Spider Man. Unfortunately,
Yeah, I see. I would agree with that. He's the only character you could say could beat literally anybody because he is that character. Like anybody, who does he
and
beat?
he beats Superman.
Superman, whatever. Exactly, he did beat Superman, and because he's Batman. Yeah. It says I've got more plot armor. Um, yeah, maybe you're not entirely wrong about that. Arkham series into movies. I don't know what you
That's
mean by
kind of the
that.
Batman. That's kind of what the Batman is. So with Robert Pattinson, it's the world feels like it's a part of like the Arkham series, in my
Oh yeah.
opinion. But
I think that's one of the reasons why
the
I like that movie so much too, is because it seemed like it took like kind of the more horror aspects of Batman and the arc took a little bit of Arkham, a little bit of Nolan, and it kind of just mixed it all together. So
um the only thing that doesn't make it feel Arkham for me is again I think Robert Pattinson is a good Batman, but he's not tall enough and bulky enough to be the Batman from Arkham. So I think that's the only reason why someone might have a criticism of why it's not Arkham Batman is because the Batman in the Batman is not the same. But again, I that's not my problem with it. But I think that'd be a reason why you can't necessarily say it's Arkham. But the actual world itself feels very Arkham Batman.
yeah, I totally understand that. Definitely, yeah. I don't understand the last one, Arkham. Oh, Arkham me is 6'2". Good to know. I think
Yeah.
that's about how tall my dad is. Yeah, I would
I,
say just kind of last thing we'll point out here is Ben. I think if you're looking for like in terms of movies, which one was closest to the Arkham Knight Batman? I would say like okay, Robert Pattinson in terms of the gadgetry and the detective sleuthing. But in terms of the physique, Ben Affleck all day, every day. Like that man
yes.
was the most
Yes.
Jack Batman we've gotten. But
I still okay. If Netflix buys Warner Bros., which it looks like they're going to be doing, unfortunately. There one thing I would push Netflix to do is to give Zack Snyder permission, if Ben Affleck wants to make the Ben Affleck Batman movie that everybody's been asking for. Because that's the one thing out of all. I don't care if they don't continue the Zack Snyder universe. I don't care about that. I was never a fan of it. But the one thing I want from Zack Snyder is the Ben Affleck movie because the one thing I really liked was his Batman, and they did him dirty because that Ben Affleck could have been up next to Christian Bale, like it's like the greatest Batman. But they're both two different kinds of Batmans. But if you had continued with Ben Affleck, you could make. I wouldn't be upset if you made the argument of picking Ben Affleck over Christian Bale because of the potential he had.
oh, I agree. Like he had potential to be probably the best Batman we've ever gotten, but you know, Zack Snyder got screwed over and such. The whole DCEU. I've heard some people say the Snyderverse might get restored under Netflix, like the whole thing. I
The
would
whole
love that.
thing.
People think I'm a hater. Well, people think I'm a hater when I say it's probably not going to happen, but I'd
I
love
don't think it
for it to
should.
happen. I'd love to be proven wrong, but yeah, I mean, just
Well,
financially wise, as a company, it wouldn't make a lot of sense to bring back a admittedly failed franchise and have it compete with what seems to be
mhm.
a pretty successful DCU so far. Just my opinion. I hope I'm wrong. I
Yeah.
hope both
Um,
can coexist, but just my two
I
cents.
think the only thing I would want them to do in the Zack Snyder universe, if they continued it, was to simply make another, like, the Batman movie, but also make another Justice League movie. Because the way how the Zack Snyder Justice League ended, you honestly probably could just make a. You don't have to make a bunch of other movies about the individual heroes. You could probably just make one more Justice League movie to basically continue what how the first Justice League ended. So if they wanted to do something like that, that I would want. But anything else, like other characters, like another Superman movie, another Wonder Woman movie, I don't want any of that.
Oh yeah.
I don't care about that. So
And I think if they were to restore it, and the 1% chance they would, I think they would just give us, because I think he planned a trilogy, so I'd see him doing like maybe a Justice League 2 and 3, maybe even like a mini series on Netflix, and that's that. Realistically, the only way that it will probably ever come back is if he decides to do like a comic book series or maybe like some
animated,
animated
yeah,
movies. Yeah,
animated.
but
See, I thought I heard them saying that they approved something where they were going to do some Zack Snyder animated stuff. If or if I'm wrong about that, I thought I might have heard some about that.
I didn't hear that. Not to say it didn't happen, but I didn't personally hear that. That would be excellent though. I would certainly
Yeah.
love that. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and kill the live stream here. It's been a lot of fun. Definitely. Didn't agree on everything, and that's okay. It looks like I got Brody in the comments section. What's up, man? Good to see you. Glad you could make it. And then looks like Batman for real. Looks like they were the two that consistently stayed on throughout most of the stream. So yeah, I appreciate the support, guys. It was fun. Glad it went smoothly. I mean, I might upload this video later and it'd be just a black screen, which would be bad, but it's seeming as of now that everything went good. So, any last words you want to say, or you want to go shout out your channel real quick?
I mean, yeah. First of all, I want to say thank you, for having me on to talk about movies. Because if there's one thing I can talk about all day, it's sports and movies, or religion. Either one, either of those three. But I love talking about movies. I love criticizing them or just loving them. And I'll give a shout out to my podcast. We do this sports podcast called Dynamite Duo Sports, where we just basically talk about what's going on in the NFL, occasionally college. And then I also like to really mock my brother about Dak Prescott. If you do not know what our podcast is, go check it out and just roast him in the comments about Dak being overrated. Because it would be very entertaining to watch him if you do that. So, but yeah, once again, thank you so much for having me on. Though it was a blast. So,
Yeah, absolutely. We'll have to do this again next time for sure.
oh yeah.
But yeah, good night, everybody. Take care, and as always, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll catch you all later.